But first, Sky News can reveal the Treasury Department has more than 1,000 documents in its possession, which it classes as advice from it to the Treasurer Jim Chalmers about changing the negative gearing and capital gains tax arrangements around investment properties. The revelation has come from a Freedom of Information request by Sky News, and this has prompted the Treasurer's office to issue a firm denial that the government is planning any sorts of changes with respect to the tax arrangements around investment properties. This FOI came about after this admission by Treasury Secretary Stephen Kennedy in a budget estimates hearing last month.
Have you had any discussions with the Treasurer of the Treasurer's Office, Dr Kennedy, about changes to negative gearing?
I talk to the Treasurer about every single part of the tax system. In fact, we published a report a couple of weeks ago called the Tax Expenditure Insight Statement that shows the distributional features of all parts of the tax system, including negative gearing. So I'm talking to him about all parts of the tax system.
So Sky News last month requested, quote, all advice from Treasury to the Treasurer concerning possible changes to the negative gearing arrangements and capital gains tax arrangements when it comes to investment properties that has occurred from September 1, 2022. That request followed an earlier request that Treasury knocked back because it was too broad, where we requested all advice documents and correspondence in relation to the matter. The department has refused to release these documents to Sky News on the basis it says it would be too much work to process the request. A Treasury official wrote to Sky News in a letter received on Friday, quote, your request is still extremely large. Keyword searches located over 450 emails plus attachments and over 680 parliamentary document management system items potentially in scope of your request. We estimate over 30% of the documents are in that scope of advice to the Treasurer on these issues. Now, the Treasurer's office downplayed the number of documents identified. On the issue of changes to negative gearing and capital gains tax, the spokesman said, quote, it's not something we've been working on or focused on or thinking about. Documents capture in the broad scope of the request include work on the tax expenditures and insight statement and other routine work. The opposition has accused the government of a secret plan to change negative gearing and the capital gains tax discount on the sales of property. This tax expenditures and insights statement released by the Treasurer in January found there was $7.8 billion worth of negative gearing losses claimed in 2020-21, and the capital gains tax discount on assets was worth $19 billion in 2023-24 to the budget. Treasurer Jim Chalmers told Sunday Agenda on February 11 that he had been briefed about different elements of negative gearing and capital gains, but he said he had no plans to make changes. Mr Chalmers, in your time as Treasurer, have you ever sought or received advice from Treasury in terms of changes to negative gearing?
Well, I think as the Treasury Secretary makes really clear in the clip that you've just played, I speak with him about all aspects of the tax system. I'm briefed from time to time on different elements of it. And as he just rightly pointed out, we released at the end of January the tax expenditure statement, which covers all of these kinds of issues. I think it would be strange, frankly, if there were large parts of my portfolio that were considered that weren't a subject of discussion between a Treasurer and a Treasury Secretary. I'd be surprised if that wasn't the case under my predecessors of both political persuasions as well. In which case, have you sought or received advice in terms of changes to capital gains tax? It's not something that we're considering, Andrew. No, it's not. It's not something that we're proposing. It's not something that we're working up. So they're talking about it, but they say they're not going to do anything about it. Federal government sources have told Sky News that after the Stage 3 tax cuts rejig, any further tax reform would have to be taken to an election for a mandate.